Well, good morning. It's good morning for me. It's Sunday. I don't know what date it is, actually. Sometime in September, halfway through. 9 o'clock. Everybody's up, had some breakfast. I thought I'd come down and make a start on this near side front wheel bearing, which is the passenger side or the left-hand side if you drive on the correct side of the road, as done in the United Kingdom and Australia. They're good too. Right, the wheel bearing on this car isn't like the sort of preloaded tapered things that you get on modern cars. There are in fact two bearings, and this here is the bearing kit for the new ones. There are dust seals and there is an inner and outer bearing, as you can see. To get this off, the 4-piston caliper has to come out. There are 2 bolts holding that, plus a third one which holds the, I don't know if you can see this, but there's a large bracket which holds the hard brake pipe in place. So you can either, I think, undo the union itself. I'd rather not disturb that if I don't have to, or you can undo a bigger bolt holding this bracket to the upright. So that's what I've done. The bolts here, in fact. Another fine thread. Right, the bearing itself, or rather the connection to it, is covered by a dust cap. Just knock that off gently with a cold chisel. And there's this castellated cover over the nut, and the castellations are there. I'm just going to put that down in the dust cap because the nut is held in place with a split pin, so this isn't going to be reused, but I'll put this down here out the way anyway just now. So it's all pre-packed with grease. In keeping with the last video, I need to go and check I actually have the right spec of grease before I put the new one back together, but notwithstanding, we can clean this up and start to see what we're dealing with. I'm actually not sure whether it's the inner or the outer bearing that's gone, but we're going to change both because it just makes sense to. Well, unless you're retired or something and you've got literally nothing better to do with your life than do jobs twice. So here we go. There's lots of fastenings on this car which, you know, have been modified. Here we've got this thread which has been ground off to a flat on the top. I'm not sure why, but down at the rear suspension, probably what we'll do in the next video, we're going to change the bushes and one of the trailing arms in order to clear a part of the lower arm. They've half ground the head off a hex head bolt. So it could be fun and games to get that out, but when I get to that job I'm going to start pre-soaking it in penetrating oil well in advance, and then we'll see where we go. You'll notice actually just while we're here that you have to withdraw the hub in order to change the discs. I've only ever seen an arrangement like this once before on the 1990s Honda Accord, which was carried over to the Rover 600, which I had. That was not a car where you had to remove the wheel bearing from the upright in order to be able to get the discs out from behind the hub. On that car they were always rusted solid, so they would never come out. Total pain in the backside. Anyway, I'll go get the right size of socket for this, and then we'll work to get this released. I haven't taken the caliper off yet because I suspect that I don't know for sure, but I guess we can find out. No, in fact, there we go. I can just go ahead and remove the caliper. I don't need anyone to hold this still like on a more modern car. Well, that's good. Right, so I've removed the caliper. As you can see, it's just resting on the track rod just now. I'll get that suspended in a second. I just wanted to show you the state in which I found this. So I've put no effort in at all, but I thought it was worth coming back just to show with the 15/16 spanner. There is absolutely zero torque in this nut. Nothing. Not a thing. So it's possible that just by nipping that up, the play could have gone from the bearing. It's also possible that this thing, having been incorrectly assembled, has knackered the bearing. Or, indeed, that the bearing is just completely knackered and that there was torque on the nut, or at least a little bit, the right amount, when it was assembled. We will never know. So I think with a gentle pull, the hub and the brake disc should come free, which could be interesting because I'm doing this one-handed while holding a oh, there we go, look at that. Holding a camera with the other. There's a bearing. That doesn't look as bad as I've seen, actually. That doesn't mean much. It could also be the inner one which is giving us the movement. There we go, look at that. That appears to have, oh no, there we go. Yeah, okay. I think that's the wear. You can see the discoloration on the rollers there. Well, that's okay. This now needs cleaned up, and I will look to getting those bolts cracked from the other side, which hold the brake disc to the hub. It's only a 3-letter word, it can't be that hard, James, come on. Right, and also I need to get that inner race out of there. I don't know if that's pressed or how that'll come out, but that needs cleaned out anyway, and then we'll see where we go from there. Right, they look terrible, but actually they're coming out okay. I've given them a good soak in 3-in-1 penetrating oil, and with the hub clamped in a vise, they are unscrewing without any drama, all 5 of them. So that's good news. I've cleaned out most of the grease and separated the disc from the hub. As you can see, there are still the outer races for the outside bearing and the inner one, and we need to remove them both. The outside bearing sits, the outside race, sorry, sits almost flush. I don't know if you can really make it out there with the machining of the hub, but if you look on the inside, if I can catch it in the light, you can make out diametrically opposite 2 ground out indents. So I think I should be able to do this without using the big hydraulic press over there, and instead I'm going to try a punch and just see if we can gently and carefully drift it out. I'm reasonably optimistic that it will do. These, from what I've learned so far in this car, things are more assembled with mechanical fastenings than is the case with modern cars, where they assemble them with big machines and brute force, and nothing's designed to ever come apart again. So this is cleaned up nice just before I sign off on this particular part of the video, which obviously I'll edit again later. The new bearing kit does come with a new dust seal, so I've cleaned everything up and gone ahead and fitted that, and as you can see, it's all cleaned up quite nice. So as you can see, this drifted out quite nicely actually. There's no damage to anything, and even the rear side of the race has no perceptible witness marks. Now what's interesting actually, I don't know who supplied the original bearings to British Leyland, and subsequently to that, I suppose, Jaguar, because when this car was made, either the end of 1988 or beginning of 1989, Jaguar had separated from British Leyland. I think that was 1984. So I suppose what I'm saying, I don't know if this is the original bearing race or if these have been replaced before, and either it's failed prematurely or if it just wasn't torqued correctly on the spindle and failed to put any preload on it. I don't know if you know the answer to that. Is this the original bearing or not? If you don't know the answer to that, what I will chime in actually is that if you get bearing races out intact like this, keep hold of them. They tend to be quite handy for using on things like hydraulic presses, and well, if you do any blacksmithing or anything like that, it's a good source of pretty high grade steel. So it's worth hanging on to if you can get them out in one piece. Right, that was quite successful. I've gone ahead and knocked the old races out. These ones here, they both came out easily without any damage. I've got the hub all cleaned up and I've pressed in the new races. The smaller race on the outside, that just tapped in carefully using the old race as a guide. This one, the old race started to stick in the bore, which I definitely didn't want, so instead I put the rollers in the inner race in and used the bench press just to get that one all the way home. Everything's cleaned up here. This race is fitted. It needs packed with grease, but I'm not going to do that until the brake discs arrive, otherwise that's just going to attract dirt, which I definitely don't want. So I think that's it for now. I've got something done, that's good. And yeah, I'm going to go inside and make some food and have a cup of tea, I think.